Okay, guys, we are currently working in Chapter 2 in our textbook Exploring Adobe Illustrator CS6 with an Adobe Illustrator CC addendum, which we'll discuss in a little bit, I mentioned last week. With this chapter, we are going to be focusing on the software interface, what the page is, um, where you develop, set, and delete your preferences, and how you navigate around the workspace. Now you'll find with your exercises that a lot of that is just simply doing that, moving around your interface, opening up panels, so on and so forth. So again, don't get discouraged. You will work on it eventually. It's important that you understand where to find your tools, where the menu items are, where the panels are, and what you use those for before you actually get into working with the software. So again, with this, we're going to get familiar with the interface landmarks of the program. So if you look at the artboard, for example, I'm going to zoom out here for a moment. This entire white area is considered the artboard. You'll see that these two little red marks are specific to my artboard. That's the way I set up my bleed the last time I worked in Illustrator. A bleed is where you want the picture to extend beyond the trim line or beyond the page size, so that if your commercial printer has to trim it, there's not an unsightly white area. That's what the bleed is for. So, and the last time I used it, I set up a bleed on the top and bottom. The tools panel, if you look up into the window, you'll find that if you don't have tools up, you can access those right at the top by saying tools, and mine are at the default. This is considered the tools panel. The menu bar at the very top of your software, this is the menu bar, and if you click, and you'll see that the drop down menu has many more objects underneath it that you can access. The application bar is right underneath that. The panels here, the docks, where the panels are docked. For example, this is a stroke panel. If you click on this, this will bring the stroke panel out so you can see it and see what the options are. There are more options typically than are originally shown. So if you go over here to this little drop-down menu, you'll see the option to show options. And there you go. And that's just the stroke panel, and that's the same with every single one of these different panels that are available to you. The context menus and preferences, again, a context menu is if, for example, you have something selected and you right-click on it, that will give you the other options available to you. If you don't have a right-click mouse, you can do a control-click, and that will access that context menu in the same manner as a right-click would on a PC. So again, you can move around this artboard, and this is considered the scratch board. This is where all of the, if you're contemplating using an image or you're contemplating using a different typeface, that's an area that does not print. And I kind of use it for my holding pattern, stick stuff out there until I decide whether or not I'm going to use it and then delete it or maintain it there. But again, anything out in this gray area does not print. You can move around with ease in your artboard using the hand and zoom tools. So I'm just going to real quickly draw a little shape here. I'm going to fill it with a color. And I'm going to, so you'll see here's the fill color. I'm going to stroke it with a different color. So I'm going to bring the stroke color up. And I'm going to make that blue, since this is Memorial Day, make it a little bit patriotic. And then I'm going to increase that stroke size so you can see the stroke a little bit better. And there you go. And we'll put a white star right in the middle of it just to be really patriotic today. Maybe not right in the middle, but close to the middle. Going to bring the fill color up to the foreground again. Going to fill it with white. And there we go. All right, so now if I wanted to zoom in, so for example, see where that's overlapping, I don't necessarily like that, typically I would just click with the selection key and move it over, but if I had to be a little bit more precise than that, I could bring the zoom tool in and I could zoom in specifically on that portion of the illustration to see what's showing, what's not showing, and what it is I would want to do with it, make a determination from that. Sorry. And you can do that with the hand tool as well. If you have a large page with a more complicated illustration, you might want to go to the hand tool. Notice I just accessed that by pressing H. You wouldn't notice that, but that's how I accessed it. And then you can click and drag by holding down I'm on a trackpad, so I just click with my thumb and hold it, and then move that around my interface with the hand tool. We also have a navigator panel, screen, and view modes that allow you to more easily access that point of the illustration that you want to review. All right, in lesson 1, that is pretty much what you do, is you are going to explore the interface highlights, and you'll see a lot of the same information that we just covered, the application bar, the control panel. I did not mention that, but the control panel changes based on what tool you have selected. So for example, I have the type tool selected. You'll see that the characters panel comes up along with the paragraph panel that allows me to either access it 3 different ways, probably more actually than just 3, but if I want to get to the character panel, I can go to Window, I can go down to Type and over to Character, or I can come right up here on the control bar or control panel and hit the character panel there. Or there are times that I'll have the character panel docked over here as well, so I can access it over here. And again, this shows you an expanded panel. It shows you where the dock is, where the panels are. This is the canvas, or the scratch board is what I call it. The tools panel and the status bar at the bottom. We didn't really talk about that much. It's hard for you to see mine. I'll see if I can move that up just a touch. And this will give you what zoom percentage you're at, if I want to fit it on screen. And then if we are on more than one artboard, or if we have more than one artboard in our layout, that would allow us to navigate to another artboard just simply by filling in the number there. And lesson 2, this is allowing you to customize your Illustrator experience, so to speak. These are the preferences, and that exercise takes you through. I believe you might even go in and delete a couple of preferences, but again, just getting you more familiar with the Illustrator artboard and Illustrator Interspace. It's early, I guess, on Saturday. It's not really, but anyway, getting you familiar with the Illustrator workspace and allowing you to go in and set your personal preferences if you choose to do that at some point in time. Navigational tools, that's lesson 3, that you're working with the hand, and the zoom tools, what we just talked about. The navigator panel, we didn't get into that at all, but definitely that exercise will bring you through that. Screen and view modes, the different modes that are available to you, and then the status bar as well. And then finally, again, just chapter 2 is focusing on the interface and helping you better understand how you get around in the program. Make sure that you turn in the assignments that the assignment list is under course content in Blackboard, and it's, in fact, I'll just bring you up to it. I think I'm already signed on, so we can take a look at it. 100. If you go over here to course information, you'll see the due dates here, and if you click on the due dates, that's going to bring you to Microsoft document, and in that document you'll see, again, we talked about this last week, but chapter 2, what requirements are for chapter 2, week 2. Don't forget not only the exercises but your in review questions, and then when it's due, it's end of week Sunday night at midnight. Not tomorrow night, but the following night. All right, so I think that covers it for week 2. Be sure if you have other questions, you need help finding something, or you want a brief personal demo for something going on in Illustrator that you don't understand, make sure you either text me, instant message me, or email me, and I will get right back to you with it. Thanks very much and have a good weekend.